Hi there, and welcome to this latest series of Speaking Spectroscopy. In the upcoming videos in this series, we're going to focus on how here at Edinburgh Instruments, we're still very involved with the academic world with universities. We are, in fact, a spin out from Heriot-Watt University, and staying in touch with our academic roots is crucial to us. So we're going to discuss a number of different ways in which we still reach out and work with academics. One of these is with industrial placement students, and we'll also touch a bit more about our academic partners with PhD sponsorship and work that we do back and forward where we help researchers publish data that they wouldn't have access to otherwise. In this edition of Speaking Spectroscopy, we'll be focusing on how we at Edinburgh Instruments work with academics and universities. We'll cover a range of different areas, so for example, sponsoring PhD students, helping in summer schools, and also our industrial placements that we offer. In the upcoming series, we'll focus on a wide variety of people at different levels within their academic careers, and today we're going to focus on our industrial placement student who is in our Raman application team, Ben. I'm Angela and I'm the Raman Product Manager. So I actually hired Ben for this role and we've been working closely over the past almost a year now. And we're sitting here today to ask Ben some questions about how we got here to finding the placement and what he's been learning with his time at Edinburgh Instruments. So Ben's studying for his master's in pure and applied chemistry. And during this master's course, everyone who sits it will take a year out of the university, so out of the lab and out of the lecture theatre and come into a real industry environment. So why did you pick a course where you could do this industrial placement?
I selected the course with the industrial placement because getting that experience in a company that does the sort of thing you would like to do once you graduate, it's invaluable experience and the knowledge that you can gain from it is so deep.
And in particular, how does it sort of work when you're in your third year of applying to different industrial placements, the process, and how did you come across Edinburgh Instruments placement?
So you find out about your placements and there's a lot of adverts. You've got to look through the adverts to see the ones that you think you would be interested in doing. And I'd seen the advert for Edinburgh Instruments and really found the whole project really appealing and really interesting. So did a bit of research into the company, found that I'd already been using the company's resources online and on the website. So I thought it's the perfect placement, something I'm really interested in with a company that I think does really good work. So I thought I'd apply.
Is there anything that surprised you in your time with us? Because you've been with us probably, 8 or 9 months now? So is there anything that surprised you moving sort of out of the lecture theatre, out of teaching labs and into the real world of industry?
There's lots of things. One of the best aspects of working in a company like this is getting to hear the stories from everyone that's gone through their university career, that's done courses that are the same or similar, and getting to hear their journeys, and it really helps me make decisions for the future. It makes the possible options a lot clearer.
What's been your sort of top 3 highlights of working at EI? And not just in terms of, obviously, wonderful experience to learn lots, wonderful experience to work with me, but also in terms of what's the sort of fun side of being in industry compared to that more rigid environment of university where you're in a lecture for this hour and then you're in a lab for this hour.
I think one of the best things is just the wide variety of stuff that you get to do. And, when you're doing a university course, it's very interesting, you're very interested in it, but you are just doing chemistry. Whereas when you're here, you get to learn about, the development side of stuff, the engineering side and the marketing side and that sort of area, because that's, they're important parts in science, but you don't tend to learn much about them at uni.
Yeah, definitely. So I did the same master's degree just a few years earlier than Ben. And it's interesting because parts of the degree have changed, but parts of it are so similar. So I did the placement program myself. And that's why we were so keen to try and get somebody in, because I know how well ran the sort of connection is with Strathclyde University. And you've sort of touched on going back to university or like the future. Is there anything that working at EI has sort of told you that, oh, I definitely want to stay in academia? Because there's also that side of we have lots of people who've completed PhDs who have good things to say about academia. There's lots of people who have not so good things to say about staying in academia. Or has it made you realize that you definitely want to go into industry afterwards? Or has it sort of left you open to all, but see how your final year goes once you get back?
It's definitely left me open to all the possibilities, but it's made everything a lot clearer. When you're going through uni, you don't always know what's coming up until it's there. But no matter what decision I make, I've got a lot more information now. Whether I choose to go into a PhD, I've heard the good things and the bad things, and also that having the experience in industries made me really confident for the future when I eventually move into industry.
I guess, yeah. So definitely I can attest to your confidence in the role, and sort of your level of scientific understanding has become abundantly more clear the longer that you've been with us, and sort of being involved in a lot of these meetings, I guess, with key stakeholders in the company. The way we sort of run the placement at EI is as if you are full-time. You're not sort of separated out as if you're just a student that's here for a year. We want to keep you engaged as possible. So what were your sort of biggest sort of learnings that you had to do in the first couple of months at EI?
There's obviously the scientific learning. You learn, I mean, my project in particular, you learn parts of Raman and IR, but learning that at a much deeper level. But there's also just the learning the kind of the corporate environment. It's it's an environment that you don't have experience in when you're at uni, and getting to learn that, how to communicate with all these different groups, and just like I said, seeing the experiences of all these different groups and the different knowledge sets is really interesting.
What are you looking forward to going back to university to do?
I'm looking forward to doing the final year project. I think having done this project, I now know a lot more about the process that project takes and how to get something from beginning to end. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Is there anything you won't miss from coming into EI every day? Be honest.
I don't think there's much. The having university, it being a bit more of a open schedule
Yeah.
is a bit better, but will be nice. But I don't think there's much. I've really enjoyed my placement here.
So touching a bit more specifically on your project, we've managed to round off a sort of nice year project that's really focusing on microplastics, which obviously is quite a real world example. And sometimes in the sort of spectroscopy industry, what we're looking at is really niche and it's hard for people to relate to, whereas microplastics is something that is in sort of, it's in the headline news every other week. And what from that side of the real world impact have you taken away from your work here?
I mean, it's been really interesting to see the real facts and statistics on it. It's with all sorts of things when it comes to climate change, it gets very caught up in headlines. It's just been really interesting to get to read all of the work that people are really doing, and all the research that people are doing to further the knowledge in these fields, and to get to work on the database and with Raman and IR to help with that work has been really, it's been really enlightening.
Mm. And I guess you've had quite a good experience of working with a lot of teams that you've mentioned, learning a bit more about the marketing side. So for any sort of content you've been writing, there's been helping marketing, how to sort of get that out there to the world in the right way, but also working with the full applications team and the development team and the software team. What's it been like speaking to so many different departments? Because again, that's very different to your sort of undergraduate where you're sort of just surrounded by your direct peers or a lecturer at the front of a lecture hall.
It's been really, really interesting getting to talk to people in the applications team and finding out so much knowledge about all of these different areas is invaluable. But one of the highlights is getting to talk to marketing, getting to work on the marketing side of stuff, because that's it's an area that you don't get taught a lot about at uni, about how to communicate the science that you are working on, and it's been really interesting getting to hear that side of the science industry, with development as well, getting to see the processes of how products come from a concept to be made and how they're tested it's been brilliant as well.
Yeah, I think you've had a really interesting project of a lot of back and forth, and from sort of my side, it was a great advantage to have the opportunity to take a placement student on for the year. There's the side of when you work for a business, having someone come in on an industrial placement for a year. We don't really have the resource to just let one person really focus on a specific application area for a whole year. We normally have to, chop and change so quickly, and we can't really allow somebody to spend a full 12 months on one project. So this has been a really good opportunity for us as well to really expand our knowledge base, and the sort of reporting you've provided has been invaluable, and it's something we wouldn't have got otherwise. And with that, I just want to sort of conclude our quick interview with Ben today. Thanks for your time, Ben. Thanks for taking some time away from your interest in microplastics research. And just to conclude today's Speaking Spectroscopy episode, which is focused on industrial placement student, but stay tuned to see more of how at Edinburgh Instruments we invest time back into the sort of academic world that created all of us to begin with.